some water now.
Yo, tapping in on the first one. I'm having fun for the end, you know I curse some of my best lines every time I burp them out of my brain. I'm insane the way that I kill this flow. My whole gon' know that I'm the man, straight slamming it. But anytime I break my stance, they know that I can't fathom the damage that it causes. So I'm back again rapping, breaking jaws, snapping. I don't know what's happening, but my mind be lapsing, friends. Tapping in, looking at the wind again. Man, I don't know how far I came back on this sin again. Whew. I feel like Adam and Eve when they saw the apple. I might just bite this shit again. I got another snapple on the side of me, cause I'm inside of me. I'm in inside of me. Damn, it's time to start the show. I'm getting out of me. Breathing, kinda slow. Moving kinda fast, man, you already know. Whoa, how we get here, how we get there, how I get Woo. Had a good time. How y'all doing, everybody?
Hello.
What's going on?
Welcome to the show, Vine Tree Radio. Here chilling with the Vine Tree. It's your boy West and
Mauriwowi, how's it going?
Yeah, we got a guest today. You already know. Introduce yourself.
My name is Ruben. I'm from Point Doom, band out here in LA. I've been knowing these guys since high school. You've been killing the freestyle since high school, dude.
That's when it started, for sure.
You were like that kid that people would come up to and they'd be like, "Hey, bro, spit something." Or at a party, everybody gather around this fool and be like, "Yeah, freestyle."
That shit was for sure like a thing for me before I was like kind of getting into recording music. I definitely was like just kicking it to people. That's kind of my thing. That's how me and Mauricio for sure like got into making a lot of our music was off the dome. I don't think I was even trying to write stuff at the time, like when I kicked it with Mauricio.
That was 100% a large part of like kind of what drew me to you, to work with you, is I love seeing you freestyle because you, out of nowhere, no matter what beat, no matter what the mood is, you're ready to go into any zone. And it's so cool. It's crazy to watch, like, just because you really do kill these freestyles. And that was watching that and the way you work with, because you have fun with it. I can see that you have fun with it. Like, if you pay attention to when Wesley's freestyling, like, you can see that he closes his eyes, he gets into it, he vibes. Like, he's really feeling the music. He's really feeling the emotion of what he's saying and really tapping into that zone. And that's something that is beautiful to watch.
Like and a jazz musician, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a jazz musician improvising and shit.
Bro, I dig that. I think you were one of the people that I used to talk about that a lot with, like jazz and how that comes into like vocal shit. Because,
I love jazz.
Because I used to like Kendrick a lot, hella. And I remember talking to you like about that and how like at the time, even when he dropped that album, like To Pimp a Butterfly, like not a lot of people was really like on it or like fucking with it. And I remember you being one of the homies that was like really like digging it on the musical tip because of what he was doing vocally. Like,
yeah, it was tight. It was just like improvising. Like with jazz, you got the like foundation, you got the chords, you got the changes, and then that's it. That's all you need. Like jazz musicians back in the day, dude, when they jumped in the studio, they would write most of it on the spot. That's how crazy they were. They would have like 4 chords, 8 chords. Like, hey, I got this. This is the song. These are the changes, and let's get in there and we'll pick the best take. And they'll do like 3 takes and like, all right, the second take. And
that's the fun of it, though. That like you could see, like, I love watching videos of old jazz musicians because it's the same situation, kind of what I was saying with Wesley, where you see and you watch them, like you could see them having fun with it because they have the free range to kind of go wild a little bit and kind of.
You can see them let loose, and the impressions of them letting loose, like how it molds a track.
Yeah.
Like it shifts in different ways, and oftentimes that feeling is what's inherently like the thing that pushes music. Like I see like producers talk about that all the time. It's like the feel is what makes it at the end of the day. Like they make a bunch of songs all day, but it's like the one that's like has that where he was really mad about something that day or like sad, and you put that into it. And I think that's kind of what you see when you see like jazz musicians and improvisations, because improvisations naturally is like you coming up with that on the spot, so you getting inspired by your mood, you're feeling in the moment. Like,
yeah, for sure. I think people try to overthink music too much. Like even the greatest jazz musicians, like my favorite jazz pianist, Bill Evans, he played with like Miles Davis and all that. He has like a quote, I think it's like, I hate when people try to make jazz like mathematical. It's just the feeling. Mm-hmm. It's just the feeling. I get on there and I play. You know, all that music theory and stuff, that was created to just kind of explain it. Like explain what people were doing from their soul, just soloing. You know, they would solo, they would do all this crap, and they'd be like, "Oh man, that shit was dope. How do I do that?" And then they made the theories after. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it all comes from the human spirit. You know, you should never try to like discombobulate it too much. It's all just feeling. It's all feeling. Rap, rock, hip hop, jazz.
To
It's
speak
just
on that a
Oh,
little
music,
bit.
yeah.
To speak on that a little bit, like I know you started out within jazz band, I believe, right? Like in high school and all that. Like I kind of want to know like a little bit about that, because I know that's when we met, but we almost didn't meet at that time. Like that's like a part of you. It's like I know that's like it was a part of you as I got to know you. It was like, oh, he's in band and he does like baseball and shit. Like I just knew about the homie. Like I didn't know.
I feel you. Yeah.
But that's your background though, so I feel like that kind of adds to it in some sense, because it's music. Like it's all music.
It started in middle school. Like I was in 6th grade, and you know you do that orientation for middle school. I saw the band there, and I was like, oh shit, that's amazing. How do I get in there? Nobody's in music in my family. Nobody really did anything musically. I mean, my parents love music, but when I saw that, I was like, I gotta be in there. So I signed up. They're like, you can play trombone. I'm like, but I want to fucking play guitar. And they're like, no, dude, you got to play trombone or you're not in. And I was like, fuck it, I'll play trombone. And then I just took that route, dude, from that shit to high school, marching band.
So you was in middle school band too?
Yeah.
That's ill. I didn't even know they had middle school band.
They
Like
had middle school
La
jazz
Mesa,
band,
right?
too. Yeah, La Mesa, right?
that's hard.
Shout out Mr. Stefan. He started it all. Were you in band?
I went in for 7th grade at the same thing, like the orientation, checking out
Yeah, I
the.
think I remember you in there. That's why.
I went to go check it out, and I was
That's
really
ill.
because I used to I played piano as a kid, and I liked it, but I didn't like having to play other people's stuff. Like that's a big part of like why I don't
Yeah.
kind of continue like learning and reading other
I
people's.
love myself way more than I love you.
But I like what was I saying?
You wanted to make your own shit
I
instead
wanted
of
to
yeah.
exactly,
Facts.
and I couldn't do that taking classes, and so that's what kind of made me stop.
Yeah.
But when 7th grade came around, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll give it like another try. Like, but I want to play guitar this time. Same
Yeah.
situation where I was like, I wanted to play bass guitar, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna try and play bass. But they only had like a couple positions for that, and it was already taken by people who were nicer and already like knew how to play bass. So I was like, fuck. I didn't take the same mentality where I was like, I'll settle for anything. I was just like, well, you know what? That's what I wanted to do. If I can't do it, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I went on and did other shit. But
That's honorable in its own way too. You know, I think with band though, it's every kid wants to fucking play guitar, bass, drums.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to play guitar, bass, drums. So they got like 20 fools that are signing up for that. So they're gonna pick the best that have like
it makes sense.
kids put
Yeah.
their parents put them in lessons, and then everybody else gets other shit. But I'm actually happy I got trombone because, you know, dude, it was a social suicide for sure. You know, like nobody wants to be a band kid, but I just didn't give a fuck so much. I just love music so much that I was like, fuck it. And that helps you build a fucking ear because it has a slide. You know what I'm saying? It has a slide. So you got to find the note as you're playing it. It's not like pushing down on a valve or hitting a chord. Like it's going to be that chord every time or that note every time. A trombone, like you got to find that note every day because your instrument could be hotter or colder, bigger or smaller. So you're always building that ear, you know? And I remember that teacher telling me that. He's like, if you pick trombone, it'll just help you be a better guitar player. And I was like, all right.
That's ill.
And I think that's definitely true.
I wish I had that drive at that point in time, because I never went into band, but when I was in 3rd grade or so, I think I took like piano lessons, and I was in it for like a cool minute, like until about like 5th-ish grade, and then I like chilled out. Kind of on the same thing though that Mauricio was saying, that it was like I was learning like Mary Had a Little Lamb and like all this shenanigans, and like I eventually was like, nah, like I'm cool off the shenanigans. Like I know a little bit now, and I just started jamming, and I said, nah, I'm out. But I was also playing sports and stuff, so I feel like if I would have had the drive musically at that point in time to take it like serious, I would have still like probably rocked with it.
Yeah.
And like still went in it. But I thought about it later. I was like, oh man, like that was cool. But I always had my piano and I always messed with it, so I think it always kind of like floated around because I knew the bases. Like I knew what keys, and I knew like, oh man, if you play them this speed or this way, like it'll shift it. I kind of used that to maneuver as I kind of figured out the other aspects of music.
For sure.
But I feel like that is a like almost like important moment in your path that kind of led you to like say you did that, but then you ended up being in a high school band. And most people, like you said, social suicide, when they get into high school, they might actually start to feel like they into that, but they like, oh, that's when all the clicky shit come in, and you feel like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it or not. Like,
dude,
but
I was
you
major
did
nerd.
it though. You was like, nah, I'm doing it.
I kind of just thrived
You
off
was
it.
major?
Dude, I was the drum major, bro. I was like, fuck it, because I don't know. I was just in band, and I enjoyed jazz band. So I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll try marching band. It's a little physical. So dude, I would literally I would do baseball after school, and then come in my baseball uniform to marching band, and then do another fucking 3 hours, and then go home, try to do homework, probably just smoke up.
That's some real life shit though. Like,
Just crazy too, because you were in AP classes. You were.
Oh, dude, it was
yeah,
bad.
that sounds scary.
It was nuts, dude. It was too much. You know,
Mhm.
that's why I'm having so much fun being an adult now.
Yeah.
I just get to do what the fuck I want. And yeah, when I was, younger, it was cool to have a lot of stuff on my plate. I think that kept me like straight ahead, straight path. But nowadays it's like I like to trim everything down to like 3 things, like my music, my girl, my family, and like health. Just like really simple shit that I can just hit every day and just get better at every day, and just making it very simple, like 5 things. Not trying to do 20 things. Just trying to be really good at the 5 things that mean the most to me, So,
I feel like it's
It's
important
smart.
though. Like on the whole like life tip. Like I think
Prioritizing, yeah.
that like kind of adds into. I feel like we do that a lot. Like that adds into the music for us. That's why a lot of times it takes longer. I feel like for us to get what we're doing off, because it's like we understand that's intrinsic to it, like life, like health, like your family well-being. Like that's what you end up making the music kind of like for and about.
Mhm.
So that
yeah, it's
like,
all connected.
that
Yeah.
process is
Yeah.
very like almost like root of it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And you got to have life experiences to make music. You can't just stay in your room all day, play video games, and then think you're going to make a fucking hit record. You got to
How do
go.
you think that shit influenced you though? Like that time, like being in band, how you think that influenced like your music when you came to be an artist, like making Point Doom shit?
I never started. Well, I always wrote songs on my guitar since like middle school, like just piece of shit, just writing shit. It's cool because like on the trombone side and the jazz side and the brass side and that trumpet shit, it's all like very, classically trained, jazz trained, following the book. But at home, I didn't have any guidance for a guitar. Never had a guitar lesson in my life. I taught everything myself. So I got to see like what it is to follow the book, but also what it is to like do it like by yourself with no guidance.
Hell yeah.
And I think this helped me with that, because everything I learned here, I kind of applied it over here to my guitar shit, but I still had the life of just originality and nobody influencing me too much and just making my own shit, So I think it all like had a place. And then after high school, that's when I joined my first band. Well, actually, I was in a band in middle school. I did that middle school talent show.
What? That's hard.
Yeah,
Like in the Battle of the Bands type vibe. Like
It was just
a
a
talent show.
It was just a talent show.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that though.
it was-
I do remember that.
Remember that shit?
You killed it, bro. I
It
remember
was-
even back then. Hell yeah.
It was like me, Silas, and Andrew on the drums. and
yeah.
Now my drummer's name is Andrew too. It's funny.
That's dope. Well, yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too later on. Like later on, we get into the stuff. I was gonna ask like who is the other homies that are in it, because I've seen heads that have like flown in and back.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, but then I had some questions about that, because I was like, bruh, it seems like the other homie's back in the fold. So I guess he is now. That's sick.
Yeah, dude, it's nuts, bro. It's middle school. I think everything led me to like where I am now, and I'm just gonna run with it, And I don't know. I used to like when you're young, people would always be like, "Don't be a musician. Don't be an artist. There's no money in that. Go to fucking college," which you should, right? You should do your thing, whatever. But I think I always inherently knew that I just wanted to do music. And after high school, when I just started, when you in that transition when you're becoming your own, I think I stopped giving a fuck about what everybody was saying. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do what I really want to do. And that's when shit started popping off for me. That's when I started having a lot of shows. That's when I met cool bandmates. That's when I started traveling. That's when I started writing my best material. And, I've done this Point Doom shit for like 4 years now. And I feel like I'm barely starting. Like, I feel like that was all just the lead up to the songs that we're barely putting out now.
The warm up.
It's like, yeah, it's just you need that. You just need all of that learning experience. And I feel like I'm still learning, dude. I feel like I'm just beginning, like first chapter.
Which is crazy because, I mean, honestly, when it comes to music, even since high school, I've always thought this, like, you were the guy that I always looked at. I was like, this guy knows his shit. Like, because you're a multi-instrumentalist to, like, a very huge degree. Like, you talk about, the brass instruments that you play, and then, like, the guitar. I know you play some keys, and,
yeah,
you basically know the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to most of the instruments, especially when it comes to the band, because I know you even teach, and, like, you have to know how to be able to maneuver at least to a certain degree through all these instruments. So it's like, even since then, I always saw it in you, like, damn, this guy really knows what he's doing. And I always saw you going somewhere with it, because you stuck with it since the beginning, and you were always like continuously pushing yourself to be better and better.
I mean, I definitely fooled you.
Yeah, because I had a question within that. I was gonna say, well, then within that, what made you, like, when you was like 18 or like 17, like, what made you kick it with like us and like the other homies at that point in time? Because like he was saying, like, I didn't know you like that at the time, but everyone that did know you kind of already seen you like that. Like they kind of already seen like you was gonna do this because you had been in band. But then like what made you at that point in time be like, just be on some like, well, I don't know what I'm about to be on. Like I just want to like, you know.
Well, I got a lot of shit in high school. You know, I got picked on, not really bullied or picked on, but like, you know, like, oh, you're in fucking band, bro. You know, like, especially like all the baseball friends, you know, they're my homies, but they'll shit on you. They're like, what the fuck? But I think after like a couple of years of just not giving a fuck, then they were like, okay, I think he's actually gonna do some shit with this music.
I feel like that time propelled you a lot. Like I seen you getting into the scene, like going to like the shows, like going to like really like not like what you saying, not giving a fuck, but like to the other degree, like I'm gonna go to LA. Like bro, I remember we met Mac DeMarco like on some like spare of the whim, like you hit me like let's go to LA.
That's pretty hard.
I smoked the stove with him.
Yeah, bro. It's like, but that's what I mean. Like, at what point did that change for you? Like your attitude about like the world and like getting out on the scene and doing shit like that. Like,
shit. I think when I just started making music, I was, as soon as I like decided, all right, I'm gonna be in a band, I'm gonna rap music, I'm gonna go for it. Then there was like no holding me back. I was just like a fucking that asshole that wanted to go to every show or like go to meet connections, do everything. Like I just, you know, that comes from my pop side probably, like very driven. It's that immigrant mentality, you know what I'm saying?
I feel that, and I think maybe we related on that tip. Like around that time, it was like we was trying to get out, and I was trying to make music, but we was just trying to do it, like just in like a different way. And I think that is what he's saying, like that. Like everybody knew that about you, so you gravitated towards those circles.
Well, I know you say like a lot of people saw you like as like the baseball kid, but I mean most of the time I saw you in high school, we were in like AP classes together, and like, you know, so I just knew you as like the kid that was smart and the kid that was like nice at, you know, music and also baseball and doing all the crazy stuff, like always doing a lot of stuff, which was cool. But so like that's where I saw it. I saw like I didn't see you so much as like, oh, like the sports kid that's trying to get into like music. I saw you as like the smart kid that's doing music and also doing like sports at the same time.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was kind of hard. I spread myself thin for sure, you know, but I think it taught me, you know, it kept me in shape with baseball and then music obviously, and then AP classes kept me on my toes, even though I was like busting out C's. You know, I was like the AP fool that was like just
C's get degrees, bro.
Yeah, I was just happy to be there. I'm like, cool. You know? I'm like, but this means a B, right? You know, and GPA, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool, so I got a B. You know, it was like that. I was never like the straight A student, just because I think I spread myself too thin. But dude, I'm still in fucking community college now. I just turned 24 on Friday, February 19th.
Same. Turned 24 last week too.
Right? Yeah. Happy late birthday, dude.
Yep, on the 17th.
We're almost in the same shit, right? You're
yeah, I was gonna say we're on like the two odds of the plane. Like I didn't realize that till this year. I was like, well, I'm like Aquarius and this was Pisces, bro. He's like on the exact the last, like the start of Pisces, and I'm like right before Pisces. I'm like the last day of
just
Aquarius.
barely made the cut.
We're like the last two fools at the end of the like
I know.
At the end of the like wall looking at each other like, damn, bro,
we almost
why you on that side?
It's like when you're going in, like you're all in a line and they just like, oh no, gonna cut it here, like right there. You're like, all right, you go over there.
It's like
what?
plexiglass.
No. Yeah, you're like,
I'm just like, Leslie. Oh shit.
Yeah, I feel
Do you guys believe in that shit, all the zodiac signs and shit?
I know you can talk about it first.
I'd say I think it's fun. I do believe in it to some degree.
But how much is bullshit?
Well, see, that's the thing, man. I don't know. Like I've had for a while, I always was like, nah, like this is mostly like completely like fabricated, like because I just looked at the idea of like there's no messages from the stars, like it's stars, like there's no words coming from that.
Yeah.
But I was like took out horoscopes out of it. I started to just think about when people were born and like the the things that happen when you're born and having your birthday at that time throughout the year and all that. And I realized that it's just more fun to frame it like that.
Yeah.
But I think those people are similar because they share those experiences and things like that. But it's not necessarily like some intrinsic thing. Like it's just like a way to label it. Like, oh damn, like this is the homies that have birthdays on February and we all like these type of music. And like, you know what I'm saying? I think it's just a cooler way to label that.
It's a varying degree in my opinion. Like I see it. I think certain people treat it like a religion in a sense, where like you have
they use it to like justify shit.
Exactly. They use it to justify things. They use it as like strict guidelines for what they can and can't do sometimes, or like what they're looking for. It's bullshit. But
I don't look at it like that.
But it's a degree, just like with any religion. There's people who claim they're one religion, but then they don't really abide by the rules. They don't say it. It's like there's different levels to how much you're into it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't see it being like, I don't see the whole, I'd see it as more of like a coincidence than it is like a correlation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to what they're trying to justify with the stars and with the positioning and stuff like that. But so that's my stance on it. And so there's certain people that are like really, really into it. And just like with any kind of religion, if you're really, really into it, I have a lot of questions on you, because it's like, I don't think you've done enough like outside perspective thinking on that thing to be in that mindset. So it's always interesting to talk to those folks and see where their head's at with it. But I don't think it's,
you don't buy it.
I don't buy it too much, no.
Yeah.
I buy it to an extent. You know, I think it's like I'm right in the middle between you guys. It's like I do believe like there might be, I don't know, the way that just when you were born, right?
There's a little magic out there is what I'm starting to notice. Like there's something that you can't intrinsically touch or like figure about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that means I should believe it that way, because it's not intrinsically like, you know, it's not nothing that I could touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how tough I believe it because of that. But I'm starting to see that that's, to me, a little bit what it is. It's a little bit of an intrinsic thing. Like,
yeah, for sure. I think maybe there's some fucking truth with the, I don't know, the gravitational pull. Like at that time, pulls atoms certain, like this way and that way, and the planets here and there. So like shit gets formed kind of the same in a sense. So there's similarities between people that were born in that same time, just because of like the math involved.
But I feel like when I agree with that, but my argument to that is there's so many more variables beyond just that. How can we like justify that those are the variables that are like defining that? Like there's just moments in time, like, but I guess like the argument for like for zodiac stuff is that it's repetitive each year and stuff like that. But I feel like there's
too many variables.
Yeah,
for sure. This is like a fucking science podcast.
I fuck with it though. I like these conversations. I love these kind of deep and like
I think that's a cool way to transition into like what you're doing like now. I know you're still doing music, obviously, like you say, you're just starting, but you also started another career within that, not speaking of science, but like teaching. Yeah. So maybe that's why a lot of our talks are on the a little bit philosophical plane.
Maybe, dude. I don't know how I got that teaching job, you know. I don't want to say where I work or anything like that.
Yeah, don't say you work, but like just
but I do teach music, you know. I teach music and I enjoy it every day, dude. I love it. I feel like I learn from my students as much as they learn from me. I really do. I feel like they're very, you know, little kiddos, they got no filter. And shit seems to work better that way. You know, they get shit done and they're able to teamwork and this and that. And I'm like, maybe we need to reconnect a little bit with that side of us. You know, like no filter, just living life, like being present, just doing that, not being so much in your head. You know, a lot of people nowadays are just so much in their head and they think too much. You know, your brain is just one part of the human body, man. You got to use other parts of it, you know. You got to learn how to turn it off sometimes too. You know, when I'm playing music and I'm soloing or whatever the fuck, or we're just jamming, thinking is the last thing that's going on. It took a while, but I've learned how to turn it off, whether it's by myself or smoking a bunch of weed and just turning that shit off and then just having it flow out. And I feel like that's when my best work happens, is when you're not thinking. But you need to think with other things. Like I got to think when I'm driving and shit. You know, so it's a balance, you know. But some people rely on their brain too much. So, bro, you got to turn that off. That could be your enemy sometimes, you know.
I feel that education has for sure, like, showed me that a lot. Like, within school and stuff, it's a big balance. And I think that, in turn, has helped me with music. Learn, like, the balance of, like, how to turn your brain off. College will do that for you, bro. Because you learn the whole, like, tension and release thing that you always told me about very well. Like you learn it to a different degree. Yeah. Because it's like you need those moments to go hard, like how you go hard on the school. Like you have to release and you have to shut your brain off. So it's like I eventually applied that to the music, where it's like I understood that, like, oh, the times when I'm really not thinking, like I could even be drunk, like, you feel me, like off the bottle of whiskey, like, but some of the best songs came like that because I didn't think about nothing.
Yeah.
I just did it. And it was like, I didn't know what happened. I was just like, oh, wow, that happened.
And I think the greats out of all genres, all music genres, all had that in common. Whether it's jazz, hip hop, rock, like the fools that are like icons, they all turned it off. They all turned off their brain. They all were able to just let something flow through them and let it and they just gave it a voice. It's the energy in the universe or whatever
They were
it
able
is.
to catch the vibe.
Yeah, you're able to just redirect it into your guitar or into your flow or into your drums or into your bass. It's like whatever that is, they you tap into that and you speak for it. It's this pool that all musicians, not many people can get in there because they're thinking too much. With my students, I'm like, yeah, learn the music, read the music, learn all of that. But as soon as it comes down to playing it and soloing, forget about it. Like completely just throw it out the window.
Some sense it's a childlike energy.
Yeah.
That you kind of got to remain with.
Exactly. Yeah, that openness to that other side.
It's catching that, like, the idea of like flow, you know what I mean, where it goes beyond just like musicians. It's like most creatives or most like people that are really passionate about what they do or what they get into, they're able to capture this gut feeling, this kind of just like you're saying, absorbing like the energy that's in the ambiance and being able to go with it and catching that flow. It's like an adrenaline rush when you do
right.
it.
It is not just in music, for sure. It's like it could
I was
be in
about
anything.
to get in that. I was about to get in that because me and talked about that. We talk about that a lot. And sports is what showed us we can do that in music. That exact feeling what you're talking about. Like me and him related on that, and it was that we and him are like, we understood that maybe wasn't what it was for us, but we unlocked that drive and we had it in us where it was like, no matter what it is, we can not think and we can get into a certain zone. And it was like, that showed us what it was in music. We kind of held on to that to be like, oh, if you can do that here, you can do that for the thing you love. Like you can put it into like what you were saying.
I feel like it's largely, honestly, kind of messed up in a sense my workflow because of it, because I do in a sense rely on capturing like the sense of flow. So when I work on stuff, I like to work on things in short bursts, just like really quick, just pound it out and do as much as I can as long as I'm feeling it. And once I stop feeling it, all right, I'm out. And as a result, because I do that, there's moments where if I'm not in that feeling, like it's just quote unquote dead space time, or like, you know what I mean? But it's also in the sense of like the tense of the tension and release, like, you know what I mean? Where you have to have those moments of like, all right, this is where you're going, and
it's
you gotta
music.
slow down, you know?
That's all what music is, man. Like the greatest, from Mozart to fucking, I don't know, Lil Pump. Like, I don't know, dude. Honestly, I just feel like all music is like the way that they produce it, right? Or the producers or whatever. It's all tension and release. You gotta build and then you gotta dip, whatever it is, And I think like, the reason that we remember Mozart or Beethoven and shit is because they mastered that shit. They mastered that shit in every measure. They did tension and release like that, and they just took you through a whole journey, and then they did that shit for like 2 hours. It was like nuts, And then our favorite rappers or our favorite bands, they have that same element where like they can just tell you a story, whether through their words or through their music. Tension and release. You build it up, you drop that shit.
It's very true.
Very, very true. That was one of them things I feel like we like not to go back too far, but in the making of like your band name and all that, like when we was kicking it, that was some shit we was talking about back then. Like, and I think that's cool how that prevailed through to like the whole vision of everything now. Like the tension and release, like really understanding that like it's good and bad, like yin and yang. Cause that even fled into when we started to make our brand in the Vine Tree. Like, cause I'm like about that. I understand there's balance in the world. Like nothing is all good and nothing is all bad. And I think that's what like we really kind of took as to make our brand synonymous with that, but it's also synonymous with being universal.
It's something we believe in a lot. Something we just believe in, that there's a not karma, but like there's a balance in the world. You know what I mean?
It's like economics. It's like a sum-zero game. Somebody makes $1 here, someone loses $1.
Exactly.
It's same with like energy. Like someone's having a good day and there's someone out there's having a bad day, but it's gonna switch one day.
There's nothing that can be made or destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's all just one, man. Science podcast, bro.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we could talk about music. Shit. How long have we been going for?
It's 35. I gotta leave like in 10. I gotta go to work. We're back at school and shit.
Well, let's just keep running it for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll just play the sleepers when he heads out.
Right on. So then you want to get into like some like music influence and just his like what do you call it? Like we'll talk a little bit about like the life affirmations part, because usually we do that thing, but we've kind of been on that.
Been on it in a sense, but let's run through influences and see if we can finish with affirmations.
Sure. Okay, cool. So as far as like, you know, the artists that kind of like you really stuck to, and like everybody, you know, we want to carve our own path, but I know there's people that we really looked at and molded at. All the great people I see, like there was fools they studied. There's not like, if you good, you studied somebody. Yeah. To really be like, and you loved their shit. You was like, you know what I'm saying? So like,
you learn from artists, man.
So for you, what was some of them, bro? Like, what was some of the guys?
Well, for me and the shit that I'm doing, man, I got the first and foremost is probably Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay. Is my fucking, that's my favorite fucking band ever. Yeah. Like, legend has it, like my mom was 16 when she had me, dude. Like I come from teenage parents and shit. From the Valley when everybody was popping shit out in the 90s, you know, like just 97 babies. Anyway, she like threw on Chili Peppers on the way home, you know, from the hospital. Like since day one, it's just been ingrained in my soul, and I wouldn't be making music, definitely would not be, if it wasn't for them, you know. Another band I really like is, you know, obviously Nirvana. They kind of became mainstream and shit, so I'm like, I don't like saying that publicly.
But, I know what you mean, bro. Like,
but I love them, man. Like I love that music.
I want to get a tab, but it's so mainstream.
It's different now.
I'm like,
you just gotta say fuck it. You know, who cares what the other folks care? It's off.
That's true.
Every rapper I know, I feel like has a Nirvana tab. I'm like, it's just whack.
Are you gonna get like the
like
logo?
The little yeah, I'm like, I don't want to get that no more.
I love fucking Slipknot. They were one of my favorite. I love heavy shit. I love Interpol was a big influence of mine. I really fuck with all their shit. And honestly, just a lot of jazz, man. I was like that weird kid that just would listen to that shit. You know, of course, all the great bands too. You know, like the Metallicas or the Queens or all the big bands and shit. But for me, I would say the Holy Trinity is probably Interpol, Nirvana, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like they're my shit. And my bass player too, he loves them too. The Chili Peppers, and he's a big Black Sabbath fan.
Fuck yeah!
Shout out my bandmates.
We need to get into your band. But
we need to bring him on one day, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Do a whole point doom.
Aaliyah Havalius, that's my bass player, man. And
definitely, bro.
One of my best friends. Same with Andrew Bertato. He's my drummer, one of my best friends. And you know, the way that we usually write music, they're very involved in that writing process, man. It's not like a one-man show at all. We are definitely a band. We all got we got a recipe now, and the recipe I think is like I write a lot of songs. Some like 50% are ass, and 50% I'm like, I'll bring them to the table. So eventually I'll bring a couple songs to the table, and I let them choose. I'm like, what do you guys like? What do you guys want to work on? I got this skeleton, this skeleton, this skeleton. And then they'll like one, we'll all agree on one. And then I'm like, all right, man, let's just jam on it. And then you guys kind of just start filling it out. And then that jam, goes into the next day, and then the next day, and then we start finding parts. And then they start making their parts. And as soon as I start hearing their parts, I'm like, oh, that's dope. Let me work on my part again and make my shit get better. And then sometimes it's back and forth. And all of a sudden you have this song that sounds nothing like what it did sound like, but it kind of does. But it's just something brand new that we all gave birth to together.
That's beautiful,
cool.
Bro.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It reminds me a lot of kind of how we work, but
yeah, but it's like with us. I was thinking of that exactly, but I was thinking, but it's between us. But like we high key do that. Like it'll be like sometimes it'll be like a freestyle, or sometimes it'll even be like a skeleton beat. He'll shoot me right, and it'll be like something like just off an idea, and then and a lot of times those ones will be the best ones, like Unleash, where it's like an idea. You feel me?
Okay.
And then it's like, and then I kind of like run it back, and then I show him what I'm doing with it. That's like a perfect example. And then he sees what I'm doing with it, and he interprets it a different way, like, oh, okay, you could really take it to this level. And then he added some like extra stuff on it, and then he mixed it with like he starts adding his mixing parts. It's almost like he does like this, like he'll show me some production stuff, and then I'll add some freestyle parts, but then I won't really be maybe like on the analytical part yet. Like I won't start like thinking like what other melody should go in it yet, until like then he'll start like showing me like what he kind of created off the mix of it. And it's kind of like a back and forth, almost with like what's the other song we made on our first thing, Red Paint. Red paint was like the first time I really felt like I really did it. I remember I showed that to you
Yeah.
and you were like, this is crazy.
I like it. It felt like it had some life to it. It was breathing. You gotta let your songs breathe. If you come in and you're like, God, it has to be like this. It's like, well then, bro, you're turning down all the possibilities it can be. You know what I'm saying? And I think, when I heard that song and shit that I've been hearing you guys make, it sounds awesome. It sounds like you guys are just running with it.
And it's like the flow you talking about. Like that times was times we really exhibited that flow of just like the back and forth. Like,
Yeah. No, those are really good examples of those songs.
Fuck yeah, man. Anything else you guys want to hit?
Life affirmations.
yeah. So at the end we just do something where it's called like life affirmations. So we just go around. And I kind of told you briefly about it. Like we say something within the last 2 weeks or a month that we looked at differently. Then we looked at, that we look at differently now, or we changed our opinion on or whatnot. So I mean, I'll start off because it gives everybody some time to think. And usually I'm always in my head anyway, so I got them all.
Please do.
But I would say that I think for me, the things that I've looked at differently this past like month or week is I think the idea of space and being alone. Like I always knew that I liked my space and like being alone to an extent, but I understood that like I think now I understand for different periods of your life, it's also when you need more space from like certain environments. I think that's what the thing I changed my mind on. It's like you may have like time alone or whatever, but at certain points in time that garner more space than others. I'm starting to like change my mind on. Like you may be in a state where it's like, oh damn, you need space from these type of environments. Like, or you need like, I think before I used to think like, nah, like you got to absorb everything. You know what I mean? Like you got to absorb it all. And like, it's like a whole Kendrick quote. It's like Kendrick quote where he says about like I am inspired by the evils too. It could be an after party. It could be, I remember sampled that, like it could be an after party, or you can blank that out, my bad. But it's like, it's crazy to me because I would say that now I understand like it's not all about necessarily drawing inspiration from every place. It's about like knowing where you want to kind of lean to draw your inspiration from.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, yeah. I see where you're coming with that.
All right, so
what are you thinking?
Building off of the kind of what Wesley said, he said like kind of thriving off of like being alone and shit. I think kind of in that same realm, I'm kind of finding like balance between my personal life and my music life. I think I'm still getting the hang of it, but like I don't stop. We practice. No, I'll drive to practice, dude, bumping our fucking iPhone recordings, singing to that shit, all the way to practice. And then we'll practice fucking 6 hours. And then those new recordings I'm bumping on the way home. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm bumping them. I put it on in the shower and I'm singing to it in the shower. And then I'm driving to work and I'm singing it. It's like it never stops. But then I also kind of, the affirmation part, like what I'm starting to realize is it does affect other people too. It's not just my own world here. I gotta think about, my girl's feelings, honestly, or like my fam or this or that. Like I gotta just find that balance. So I think just realizing, I haven't found the balance yet, but kind of realizing that I need a balance is big. You gotta realize that. You gotta realize it before you make it happen.
True.
So yeah, finding that balance, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just go down a rabbit hole and fucking.
I feel like no one ever really does. We're always fighting for it, but it's one of those things where like if you find it for a second, it might be there for like a second, but there's something will come up in life will push it one way or the other.
I know. I'll try my best.
For me personally, I've been thinking a lot about like analyzing hype, analyzing why people are inclined to do certain things or why people are following certain like I've just been trying to analyze that a lot more this past like week or 2 weeks, and kind of trying to take like an outside I always try to take like as best I can an outside view as to why anything happens, to try to get it from a different perspective. But now it's like trying to analyze variables that I didn't consider before, like the stuff that exists in this world and has like large pull and large influence that we just don't largely see. And a lot of it had to do with like corporations and the general idea of whether it be the government or other people in charge of being able to push certain things in certain directions. Like a big part of it is seeing like honestly, I love this guy because he is really gonna be, he's the Renaissance man of like our time, and gonna be one of the men that goes into our history books as like of our era. It's like Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much stuff that he does, undoubtable genius, but at the same time, you look at this guy and at the fucking like snap of his fingers, he can like kind of change the world. Like he has so much influence
The stocks
when
and shit.
when it comes to stocks, when it comes to like different, like not beyond just the stocks, but like what if he says like, all right, I just made this new company, I guarantee you that company becomes like multi-million-dollar company tomorrow. There's if he says anything on Twitter, people are quick to be down for it and just quickly follow it, and I understand it, but like analyzing those kind of things, and like not just him but other people in the world who have this kind of power but aren't as open about it, and like how they push things, it's just trying to be more open to that perspective of seeing like how, I mean, I've always trying to been, but trying to be more so of like seeing like what other variables am I not considering that these people that's pushing the world to be the way it is.
Yeah, I feel it, man. Cool. Yeah, I think we're all questioning that shit, questioning authority. It's it's that Mayan calendar, dude. The 2020, we went into that golden age of the Plutonic year and shit. Look that up. The year 2020, it's like 2020 vision. We all opened our eyes for the fucking first time. And then we got hit with that. It started with Kobe. Honestly, like I felt like Kobe.
The bars.
Kobe,
Like rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Watching him as a kid.
Bro, for me, it started like way back.
What a legend.
But dude, I'm saying like 2020, like started with Kobe, dude. He's like an icon.
true.
Yeah, that's
Dying
true. That was
in a
the
plane,
moment,
in a helicopter crash. I said it was like biblical. And then we got hit with the plague. It felt like the Bible, dude. Like one of our icons dying in a fiery crash, and then a plague. Like I don't know. It was pretty. I don't know, dude.
It felt like a plague, bro, because almost for a moment it was like almost every month was something new was coming.
That's
what
that's what I was talking about. Like it was leading up to even that. It was like greats were dying every month.
Nuts.
And then it was like start 2020, Kobe.
But you know what, man? Maybe it's all for a reason. I would rather have Kobe here than not, obviously, and I would rather have COVID not happen. Keep all those people around. But I'm an optimistic guy, and maybe it's all for a reason that we don't understand just yet. But maybe in a couple of years. But
and I don't want to hold you on some morbid tip. I already know you about to go to class, teach the kiddos and shit. You know what I'm saying, bro? Let you go on the positive.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Right now, my man. It was great having
Thank
you,
you
bro.
for coming, bro.
Yeah, man. You guys are my homies.
You had a great like talk, bro. You really got into the scientific shit, and I think that's like something people are gonna be extra happy to see, like that we really got some like next level combos
Cool,
going.
man. I'm glad to be part of this. I hope to be back with my bandmates maybe one day.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely,
bro. Season 2, it's gonna be ill.
Closer, babe, listen, I'm this game into the night. Come closer, babe, listen, I'm this game into the night. babe. Listen up this game into the night. Come closer, babe.